Named after a district in Hawaii, the Hyundai Kona joins the Korean firm's SUV range below the Tucson and Santa Fe. At launch, the Kona slots alongside the similar size X20 compact MPV, though it boasts far more modern styling and a bolder SUV-style stance. Hyundai Kona crossover takes aim at Nissan Juke. It's a fast-growing crossover sector that the Kona joins. Sized to compete with Nissan's Juke and the Vauxhall Crossland X, along with the Peugeot 2008 and Renault Captur and the Mazda CX-3, the Kona faces stiff competition. Tough new rivals include the Citroën and Citroën C3 Aircross, with the MG ZS and other models from the Volkswagen Group arriving later. Another competitor comes in the form of the Kona's sister model, the Kia Stonic, which shares engines and lots of other technology under the skin. Majoring on style, the Kona features controversial styling that some drivers will love and others will hate, like the Nissan Juke, which spearheaded the small crossover sector, in a deliberate move to draw new buyers to the brand. This is an important car for Hyundai, as it continues a number of new visual themes, introduced in the latest generation i30 hatchback, albeit with a radical Citroën-inspired vibe. It rides on a modified version of the i20 hatchback's platform, which is shared with the closely related Stonic. Option of all-wheel drive and dual-clutch automatic, the Kona comes with a range of turbocharged engines, consisting of 1.0-litre and 1.6-litre petrols and a 1.6-litre diesel and 2 power outputs. Cheapest is the 1.0-litre 120 horsepower petrol, while the most economical is the lesser diesel engine with 115 horsepower. Meanwhile, the most powerful, the 177 horsepower 1.6-litre petrol, comes with all-wheel drive and a dual-clutch automatic gearbox as standard and is capable of accelerating to 62 miles per hour in a brisk 7.9 seconds, compared with 12.0 seconds for the 1.0-litre. The 1.0-litre, on the other hand, comes with a 6-speed manual gearbox and front-wheel drive, as does the 115 horsepower diesel, while the 136 horsepower diesel will also be available in automatic, all-wheel drive form when the diesels arrive in mid-2018. An all-electric Kona is also expected to arrive in 2018. All engines have been tuned for low engine speed punch to make them easy to drive with palatable fuel economy. Expect just above 50 miles per gallon for the 1.0-litre petrol and just under 40 miles per gallon from the 1.6-litre. Figures for the diesels will be announced closer to them arriving in showrooms. Channeling its power to the road, the Kona will come with chunky alloy wheels up to 18 inches in diameter for a rugged look. Reasonably high ground clearance of 170 mm for the Kona means that you should be a little less likely to scrape the underside of this Hyundai when negotiating steep, bumpy driveways or heading down rutted campsite roads than with a conventional hatchback. Kona gets serious outside and in it looks striking on the outside. The slim day running lights, DRLs, are a new Hyundai feature, neatly house-incorporated turn signals and are positioned in a stack, separate to the full LED headlamps which come as standard on the top-spec models. At the back, you get a set of LED lamps on range-topping models, with the slim tail lights being supplemented by separate clusters housing the brake lights, indicators and reversing lamps. It's a similar arrangement to that employed on the Kia Sportage. It's decluttered inside, with a split-level dashboard that leaves the touchscreen media system display appearing to float above it. It's a setup that debuted in the i10 and i30, and which simplifies the way the heating, ventilation and air conditioning controls work. Hyundai has been working hard to perfect the ergonomic experience of its mainstream cars. What personalization options are there? Like the Nissan Juke, the Hyundai Kona allows you to personalize your car with bright paint colors, contrasting roof tones and zingy interior trim. Buyers can choose from a wide range of hues including lime green and bright orange to help make their car stand out. On the inside, colored stitching and similarly saturated accents on the steering wheel, around the gear lever and on the seat belts should help you to tailor the Kona to your tastes. What tech do you get in the Hyundai Kona? There's all the safety equipment you'd expect to find in an all-new family SUV, although much of it is only available on top-spec models or as an optional extra. The top model receives autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection, rear cross-traffic alert, RCTA, and high beam assist, HBA. Meanwhile, lane keeping assist, LKA, and driver attention alert, DA, feature across the range. You also get blind spot detection on the top models along with a head-up display, HUD, which projects driving information onto the window screen as you drive. to complement the 8.0-inch infotainment screen fitted to these versions. Hyundai claims that the head-up display screen remains perfectly visible, no matter how bright things are outside. The 7.0-inch and 8.0-inch units also support Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Finally, you can cut down interior clutter further with wireless smartphone charging, although that's only on the priciest trim levels, just as well if your mobile doesn't support it. And audiophiles should appreciate the 8-speaker Krell sound system fitted to the top half of the range for better music quality. Other luxury kit comes in the form of a heated steering wheel and electric front seat adjustment, plus heated and ventilated seats for greater comfort in extreme temperatures, though again you'll have to choose one of the range-topping models to get these. The verdict: the Kona is a neatly designed car that looks great on the road, or horrifically ugly depending on your taste, drives well, and comes packed with kit, provided you choose one of the higher specs. This should be an easy car to live with in the long term. It's roomy up front, packed with thoughtful features, is kitted well, and is actually impressive to drive. Just how good is it? Well, that depends on the finance pricing, which is yet to be confirmed. Hyundai says that drivers should expect 4.9% APR and a £500 deposit contribution discount when the car arrives in the UK. If that comes true, rivals including the Citroën are likely to have lower monthly payments, with lower interest charges and larger discounts available. Keep reading the full Hyundai Kona review to see whether this small SUV is worth the money. Cheaper 1.0-litre petrol works well. 1.6-litre petrol noisy with dim-witted automatic diesel engines coming in mid-2018. Kona drivers have a choice between two turbocharged petrol engines with a pair of diesels set to arrive in mid-2018. An electric Kona is also expected to go on sale in 2018, and is likely to share some of its technology with the Soleil from Hyundai's sister brand Kia. The cheapest Kona comes with a turbocharged 1.0-litre engine. It may be small, but this motor does a good job of hauling the compact Kona around. In comparison, the 1.6-litre turbocharged petrol makes a lot more noise, but doesn't feel that much faster, thanks to the combination of heavy standard fit all-wheel drive and a listless automatic gearbox. The two diesel engines make less sense on paper, as they're likely to cost more, in cash and finance terms, somewhat cancelling out any economy benefits. Pick 1.0-litre TGDI turbo petrol engine. Not only is the 1.0-litre the most affordable Kona engine choice, it also seems the best fit for the car. Ignore the engine's minute size. A turbocharger makes sure that this motor provides a reasonable amount of shove from low engine speeds, with 120 horsepower and 172 Nm of torque on tap. Taking 12.0 seconds to amble to 62 miles per hour, the Kona, however, does take an additional 2 seconds or so to hit the benchmark speed than rivals such as the equivalent 1.0-litre petrol Citroën. Its top speed weighs in at 112 miles per hour, somewhat dented by the car's bluff aerodynamics. So if acceleration is important to you, or you often carry lots of passengers or heavy luggage, similarly priced rivals have more to offer. It picks up well, and though it's not as fast on paper as rivals, it still feels adequately nippy in most driving. The gear change is also very slick, meaning it's no hardship to have to shift between the gears to maintain speed on steeper roads, or when going to overtake. Helping to make the 1.0-litre engine a good fit for the car is its smoothness and reasonably muted noise levels. This means that you can work it hard, as you need to do for brisk acceleration, without it feeling strained. Claimed fuel economy, meanwhile, weighs in at 52.3 miles per gallon for all 1.0-litre models, bar the entry-level S version, which has smaller, lighter wheels, at 54.3 miles per gallon. While official figures are often not very realistic, the significantly faster 115 horsepower 1.0-litre Citroën returns figures around 3 to 5 miles per gallon higher in most cases. We'll avoid 1.6-litre TGDI turbo petrol engine. The 1.6-litre petrol engine feels much less suited to the Kona. Despite having around 50% more power, with 177 horsepower and 265 Nm available, it also has to haul around far more weight, thanks to the addition of an automatic gearbox and standard fit all-wheel drive. That means that despite a 0 to 62 miles per hour time that drops down to a nippy 7.9 seconds, it feels somewhat underwhelming in normal driving. Part of this is down to the automatic gearbox, which isn't as slick or quick to respond as units in rivals such as the Citroën. Of the 3 driving modes available with the automatic gearbox, Sports, Normal and Eco, the latter 2 don't appear to make much difference, but the former makes the transmission a lot more responsive. This Kona can keep going until 127 miles per hour, way more than you'll ever need on UK roads, though again, the boxy styling means this is less than you'd expect in a similarly sized hatchback with the same power. This means that you can expect acceleration to tail off at higher speeds compared with sleeker alternatives. Meanwhile, the heavy all-wheel drive system feels unnecessary for a car like this, which is likely to spend extremely little, if any, time off-road, and it has a number of its own disadvantages. Claimed fuel economy drops to a poor 42.2 miles per gallon thanks to the automatic all-wheel drive combination. This lags way behind a number of larger, more powerful and four-wheel drive automatic petrol models, including the Audi Q3 off-roader and BMW 3 Series Touring Estate. Worse than this, the 1.6-litre petrol is only available in range-topping form, making it extraordinarily expensive for a car in this class, at around £25,000. Yes, it's stuffed with all the equipment you could ever want, but we'd expect a more refined engine and slicker automatic gearbox for the money. The other options, 2 diesel engines, are expected to arrive in mid-2018. Hyundai describes these motors as its next generation of motors, but if they're anything like the noisy, gruff unit in the closely related Kia Stonic, we'd recommend sticking to the 1.0-litre petrol. Due to the large premium needed to step up from a petrol to a diesel in most small cars, we'd wager that the 1.0-litre model will make a lot more sense for most drivers. Also set to arrive in 2018 is an all-electric Kona, which is likely to share its technology with the Kia Soul from Hyundai's sister company. If that's the case, expect potential range of around 130 miles per charge. Gearbox and all-wheel drive choices. The entry-level 1.0-litre petrol features a standard fit 6-speed manual gearbox, while the 1.6-litre version is only available with 7-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox and all-wheel drive. The diesel models, on the other hand, should be available with power going to the front wheels and a manual gearbox or an automatic all-wheel drive combination. As for the electric Kona, this will get an automatic gearbox, too. Satisfying drive with good comfort, nicely weighted steering, not too much body roll. The taller a car is, the worse it generally takes corners, with more body roll, or stiffer suspension needed to keep it under control, so most small SUVs are handicapped in the handling department compared with ordinary superminis. The Kona, however, acquits itself well on twisty roads, with the precise steering generally providing a good sense of how much grip is level, but it can feel quite firm on the bumpiest of roads. On smooth roads the car soaks up bumps imperceptibly, though. Yes, the suspension is a little stiff, but it's been well set up. As a result, the 1.0-litre Kona drives like a much larger car, while the steering is light in normal driving, but weights up nicely around bends. Drive it fast, however, and you get less and less feedback through the steering about what the front tires are up to. It's definitely happier with ordinary driving compared with higher speed driving. The 1.6-litre petrol provides a similar feel to the steering, though if anything the suspension isn't quite as settled over rougher tarmac, potentially down to this being by far the heavier model. It's not bad, but it lacks a little of the comfort found in the 1.0-litre. Another downside comes in the form of handling that is no sharper, despite the substantial amount of additional power. As a result, you're likely to find yourself at the edge of the 1.6's grip much quicker than in smaller engine models. Consequently, anyone expecting the 1.6-litre petrol to feel sporty will be disappointed. Detracting from the driving experience a little in both cases are large rear pillars, which mean you need to take more care than expected to safely change lanes. With high-quality materials, a solid feel to everything and a reasonably slick design, the Kona feels more upmarket than you might expect. However, go for one of the top trim levels, as you need to do to get equipment such as sat-nav, and it's also pricier than you might expect. So, while the Kona feels good inside, it really should do considering how much most buyers will end up paying. Despite a high-mounted touchscreen multimedia system, the interior is quite plain. Yes, you can choose bright-colored trim for the seat, steering wheel and gear lever stitching, dashboard trim, seatbelts and air vents, but this is very much a bland interior plastered in shiny trim. This differs from models such as the Nissan Juke, where you can get large swathes of color, such as the huge transmission tunnel, which can be specified in numerous highlighter grade hues. Most crossover drivers will be perfectly happy with the interior of the Kona, but if you expect the personalization options to provide you with a zany, high-vis finish, you may be disappointed here. The 8-inch media system fitted to top-spec models works well, with a clear, crisp display. It does, however, often seem keen to zoom out between sat-nav instructions, making it hard to simply glance at the map to work out the next direction. Similarly, connecting a phone to use the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connectivity works reasonably well, though the map isn't as clear as it could be, meaning you have to be a little more on your toes to keep on top of where you're going from the map alone. Thankfully, Hyundai has included several shortcut buttons for different functions around the media screen, including radio, media connections, map and sat-nav displays. This makes it much easier to switch between functions on the move than forcing you to use the touchscreen. There are also numerous buttons on the steering wheel to take advantage of much of the standard kit. The sheer number makes it tricky to quickly select the button you want by feel, but you'd quickly get used to this when living with the car. Aside from these, there are few other controls on the dashboard, making these easy to navigate when driving. Yes, the Kona may handle tidily around corners, with the tightly controlled suspension keeping on top of body roll, but it's still admirably comfortable. We found the front seats particularly well designed, with plenty of side and back support and electric lumbar adjustment for providing greater support for your lower back, on all bar the entry-level model. Whatever shape or size you are, therefore, you should be able to find a comfortable driving position. In fact, it's the lower spec models with cloth seats which offer the most comfortable seats. The suspension, on the other hand, is stiffer than many of its rival setups. It's firm, and you notice it on roads that aren't well maintained and full of potholes. It's never too uncomfortable, but it's certainly a slightly harsher ride than something like a Citroën or Renault Captur. Overall refinement levels are particularly high for the 1.0-litre, too, with little wind or engine noise being audible in the cabin, even at motorway speeds. It's a different story for the 1.6-litre petrol. The ride feels a little less smooth, and when accelerating hard the engine becomes extremely coarse for a brand new car. The engine feels well below par considering it's only available from around £25,000. Road noise on models with larger 18-inch wheels can be quite noticeable, too, especially if you're sat in the back of the car. Entry-level trims lack desirable kit. Top models packed with kit but pricey premium offers best blend of kit and value. Buyers can choose between 5 trim levels at launch: S, Say, Premium, Premium Say and Premium GT. While base models get plenty of desirable equipment, sat-nav is notably absent on the first 2 trim levels, meaning you have to spend more than with most rivals to get a car with mapping. Pay more for the pricey top-spec versions and they are bursting with equipment. Standard Hyundai Kona equipment. The Hyundai Kona S gets air conditioning, electric front and rear windows, driver's seat height adjustment, 5.0-inch LCD display, media system, Bluetooth DAB radio, USB connection, cruise control, electric heated wing mirrors, automatic headlights, lane keep assist, 16-inch alloy wheels. Step up the Hyundai Kona Say 4. 7.0-inch touchscreen media system, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, rear parking sensors and reversing camera, 17-inch alloy wheels, roof rails, fog lamps, driver's seat, electric lumbar support. Upgrade to the Hyundai Kona Premium. Meanwhile, 4. 8.0-inch touchscreen media system with sat-nav wireless phone charging, 18-inch alloy wheels, climate control, automatic windscreen wipers, tinted rear windows, keyless entry and keyless ignition, upgraded 8-speaker sound system. The Kona Premium Say adds leather upholstery, electric front seats, heated and ventilated front seats, heated steering wheel, front parking sensors, electric folding wing mirrors, head-up display. The range-topping Hyundai Kona 1.6 TGDI 177 horsepower is available only in Premium GT form, which adds full LED headlights with high beam assist safety pack including autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian recognition. Hyundai Kona optional extras. Hyundai typically doesn't offer many options on its cars, and that's the case here. Apart from selecting colored interior trim, you can select metallic paint, a sunroof, a two-tone roof and autonomous emergency braking. Hyundai's decision not to fit autonomous emergency braking, as standard on any of the 1.0-litre petrol models is disappointing, but under the auspices of Euro NCAP when it crash tested the Kona, this didn't stop it scoring a full 5-star rating. Yes, you can pay £235 at launch to get EB. But we think that Hyundai has its priorities skewed somewhat, considering unnecessary toys like a heated steering wheel and ventilated seats to come as standard on some models. Standard Hyundai Kona safety kit: 6 airbags, ABS, a driver attention alert system and electronic stability control are all standard, as is a lane keeping system. Additional equipment fitted to the 1.6-litre petrol include autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian recognition, rear cross-traffic alert and blind spot detection. The further back you go in the Kona, the less room there is. Even the tallest of drivers should be able to find a comfortable driving position with plenty of head and legroom on offer. There's lots of seat adjustment and the mirrors give a good view of the road behind. Large rear pillars make the interior a little darker than it could be though, and limit over-the-shoulder visibility when changing lanes. The rear seats, however, are notably tighter. Yes, you should be able to fit 4 6-footers in the Kona, but those in the rear seats probably won't be too happy about it. Legroom is a little tight and headroom more so for taller passengers. Thankfully, the rear seats themselves are very comfortable, with good back support available. Ignore its boxy looks, the Kona is still a pretty compact car, so you shouldn't have too much trouble parking. The rear pillars, however, are large, making tight maneuvering more difficult than it should be, especially in models that lack rear parking sensors and a reversing camera. The raised driving position does provide a reasonable good view ahead, though, so gauging where the front of the car is should prove less challenging. Boot volume is adequate, but the back of the Kona is notably smaller than alternatives such as the Citroën, which offers 400 litres compared with the Kona's 334. There is an underfloor tray which adds a bit of practicality, but this is shallow and not particularly useful.